The next show we're gonna be talking about is the Ancient Magus' Bride. Mahotsukai no Shou.
Yes, this is one that this was just 3 OVAs. The actual series of which will be coming out this next season. But I figured I definitely wanted to watch the OVAs because I'd watched the first one when it came out, and that was like months and months ago. But then watching this, knowing that the series was coming out, I'm like, I have to watch the OVAs. Because even like the very beginning of what I watched was like it was great, and the whole thing really reminds me a lot of if you took Harry Potter and combined it with Natsume, but with a female main character.
Okay.
That to me is like basically what the Ancient Magus' Bride, at least so far. I know it's gonna go on probably like we've only just touched the iceberg, so I might even like be even close to where it's at this point. Give it another couple of weeks after it actually started to air the actual series. But these were 3 OVAs. I think that they were just kind of testing the waters to see if people were interested in it, if it had a good following for it, and honestly, if more animes out there could do something like this, that would be great.
Yeah, like like long
this
story.
Is like, well, no, it's like these are like little snippets. They're like showing you a section and being like, okay, is this something you'd be interested in watching? That's nice to me. This is like a way of being able to figure out whether or not you're really interested in actually watching the series. And it's also a good way for them to be able to see if the series is actually something worth going forward with. But this.
So like shifting everything instead of doing like a 12 episode chunk of the story, doing like a OVA for everything, and then for the stuff that's popular and has a following, then going ahead and giving it.
Like a short like OVA, like 1, 2, 3 episodes max, and just being like, okay, show it out there, give it its all, and see if it actually has a good following for it. And it gives the viewers a good idea of what to expect. And it gives the creators a good idea of how popular they think it's going to be.
Okay, because that's the same thing that happened with Death Parade.
Yeah.
Because Death Billiards came out, and I think it was a competition, but Death Billiards came out with the OVA.
But that did amazingly well, and it was great. Yeah. It was great.
Yeah,
so
I like that idea.
I think honestly, more anime companies should do that. If they have a new series they want to see if it's going to hit, maybe it's like a manga they want to adapt into an anime or something. If they want to see if maybe it might have a good following for it, bring out an OVA or something. Go like a little side story for it or something. See if people would be interested in the characters, if they like the story premise, if they like, and then you just kind of go from there. So, but anyways, Magus' Bride. Obviously, where you start in this is things have already started happening. Things are already well past a certain point. And the primary of this is you start going back and you start actually seeing what this girl's life was like before when she was a child. And that's where I say it to me, it kind of reminds me a lot of Natsume, because this kid's life was just horrible. But it's because she can actually see these spirits. She can see the things that most people can't see. And because of that, obviously as a little kid, you don't understand these things. And when you try to tell adults this and they don't see the things that you see, and they start acting as probably most adults would, oh, she's just imagining things, or oh, she's just acting out, or oh, this, and it's something that just wears on them. And you can tell, like when I watch Natsume, you could definitely tell he was definitely just, it was becoming a thing where it was wearing on him both mentally and physically. And it's the same thing with her. It was definitely taking its toll. But the actual part where you watch is a story kind of within the story where you see her life, and then how she ended up meeting up with this guy who runs a library in the woods. And this library is actually a very special library because I feel like going into too many details of it, but it's a library where there's all sorts of actual creatures in there, but they're all safe. None of them will hurt her or anything. So they're all, if she can go in there and actually feel safe for once. And it was like one of those things where you could tell when she realized that, it was almost like a weight was lifted off her shoulders in part, because she could actually be in an area without having to worry about weird creatures or monsters sneaking up on her kind of thing. Because there are good ones and there are bad ones, and unfortunately, without being having knowledge of that, it's hard to tell in that regards. So. But anyways, there's that basically the whole 3 episodes incorporates her story in that one instance of what happened when she went to the library and the story of the library and how she grew from that experience that she had there, which I think is just it's amazing. It's a wonderful storytelling, and it's interesting in its own because it's got a lot of twists and turns and things that you probably wouldn't even think about until it's already happened kind of thing, and you're like, oh wow, I didn't even realize that connecting the dots and everything, and that happens and this happens and this is with that, everything is just it's cool. And then of course the magic aspect of that being like the Harry Potter, and like the very first episode, she's learning about magic, and you see in the very beginning of the very first episode where a place that actually sells, I guess, kind of sells magic supplies. I guess, I don't know how to describe them, but the person that she's with, who's teaching her this, put in an order, and he ends. They send it to him via mechanical bird, I guess you could say, because like they had like this whole table stacked full of magical instruments, books, and everything. And I mean, it was piled high. And basically she casts a spell over it. The blanket around it encompasses it, constricts it, and then makes it into this tiny little ball essentially. And then she takes this mechanical bird, puts it in there into its rib cage, it closes up, and then becomes flesh and blood, and then it flies off to do the delivery.
Oh.
You see what I mean? I was like, that's freaky, but kind of cool. I like it.
Okay.
And of course, when it actually made its delivery and it knocked on the door, did a little peck on the door, and she goes and answers it, and the minute it's sitting there flapping its wings, and all of a sudden it becomes mechanical again, and all the stuff just comes flying out on top of her. They didn't quite figure out the landing on that
That's
one.
That's what I was about to say.
But at the same time, it was still funny and kind of cool in regards to that. So I was just like,
okay.
It shows you, magic and its workings and everything like that. So I was like, that's cool. And even her companion that she has is a person who can shapeshift from human form to dog form. I'm not sure if it was I think it was a dog that they just kind of gave the ability to have become human. But there's so many things going on here. But obviously, like I said in the very beginning, you're already partly way into the series. It looks like things have already been going on. Stuff's already been happening. And you don't know that until further along, and you're like, okay, this is already going on. So I'm sure honestly, I'm not sure. I'm not even sure how, when they start the series itself, where they're going to start it at. Okay. I just know that when they do, there's going to be a lot more involved that's going to come with it. So I'm hoping there's going to be more explanations about what's going on, what happened. Obviously this girl's been through so much in her life, and why she is where she is now, and getting tutelage about magic and such. Okay. So the characters themselves are great. Mm-hmm. You feel for the girl. The guy who she's with, you're kind of unsure about him, or at least I am. But at the same time, that he's still he seems decent, and he seems like he's caring and compassionate and understanding, and genuinely wants to help. And then they have like this maid. I don't even know if she's human or something else, but they have this maid that cooks for them and whatnot, and tends to the garden and helps tend to the garden. And at one point, they were talking about the story for so long, they realized they had actually gone from mid-morning all the way to evening time frame. And then they look over, and she's like, wait, wasn't there supposed to be snacks, tea and snack? And they look over, and there's the maid like peeking out from the other, giving him like a glaring look of like, oh, we forgot. Sorry. We'll have them with dinner. Sorry.
That's
But it's like the characters are unique, they're involved, they're interesting, and I'm genuinely, it's watching this has whetted my appetite and gotten me excited to see what it is that they're going to do with it and how they're going to take it. Which is why I said I think if more animes out there did this, would be great. Like the season before, drop a few OVAs on this, and if it starts picking up, the next season, go ahead and start the series kind of thing. I think that would be amazing to do.
Yeah, especially now since since things are heading more towards streaming, I could see that you could, like, with broadcast television and stuff like that, I don't think that would work. Because how would you schedule like 60 different shows that have OVAs, like
Yeah.
1 to 3 OVAs? It's like the actual TV schedule will just be like anime, all
Yeah.
the anime that's coming out. But yeah, that's actually really really cool. So yeah, every time you talk about that show, I get like really interested. So I'm definitely gonna check out the 3 OVAs first episode before as soon as I can, because this is I feel like this is gonna be one of the most popular shows for the next.
Yeah.
So
I'm guaranteeing you this is going to be one of the big ones that's going to come out. So
they wouldn't wake up, so I tried to stick something up their butt and it didn't work. And I'm like, why? Why do y'all keep doing this? You end up like getting more and more attached to the characters as they go along, because they kind of sprinkle backstory like in like the best way. So it's really cool.